hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. The world is waking up, and this is the tipping point.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an appropriate conversation today to have with this young lady you're seeing in front of you. This is Laura Worley. And many of you are very aware of what the satanic global order is built on, its foundation. Everything that they consider their guidance system is rooted in the dark energy, the dark powers of the planet. When they talk about God on the world stage, the public stage, they're not talking about ours, they're talking about theirs. And that's Lucifer, Satan, Moloch, Baal, whichever one you want to point toward as the idol that they worship, or the being, or whatever that may be. And some folks have had these experiences through the course of their life to see it up close, up front, and a personal level. MK Ultra programming, ritual sex abuse, all these kind of things. And Laura obviously has this type of an upbringing in her life. We're going to talk about this from the ground up, because you're going to get to learn the things that I don't yet know either. And even some of the political figures that she's had experiences with, and knowing how they live their lives and how they conduct these aspects of their warfare against the human species. So Laura, great to have you here on the show today. Obviously, MK Ultra is a very large topic in the world today. The cover's been ripped off that ball. The veil has been destroyed. These people can no longer hide who they are, because we know what they are. Many of them are being dealt with behind the scenes, and have already been dealt with behind the scenes. But and again, the ones that have been dealt with behind the scenes have, well, let's just call them doppelgangers, whatever you want to, however many categories, what you were seeing in media, or, on screen or whatever. Those are their replacements. Anyways, that being said, so let's talk about, where this whole thing began with you, your experiences with this MK Ultra programming, and anything else, the abuse you might have suffered when you were a child. Where does this whole thing start for you?
The whole thing starts from a multi-generational family who was into satanic ritual abuse. As far as I know, it went back 8 generations, but the MK Ultra, only 2, because my mom and myself. And this is what God showed me, is that they basically signed a contract with the military to give his daughter, which was my mom, and then any future generations, they had complete rights to. And so when you're born into this kind of family, you're automatically given to the MK Ultra program. Mm-hmm. So that's really common if you belong to a satanic ritual abuse family. Pretty much you're going to be in the MK Ultra no matter what.
And and how did your mother, was it her father that put her in the program, signed back the military? And
the only thing, what I can figure out about my grandfather is that he was friends with Truman. And that's how I think somehow this all started, but I'm not positive. Okay. That's the only things I can put together really on that one.
Right. That's interesting. How is he connected to Truman?
They were just friends. I mean, I'm from Missouri. Okay. So anyway, and
was your father a political figure?
He was very involved in political stuff, but he wasn't really a figure, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
He loved it, but anyway. And so basically, when I was given into the MK Ultra program, what that meant was when my mom, which I think they made her get pregnant with me, they start the programming in the womb. So every MK Ultra survivor starts their programming in the womb, and then you're trained like going to high school. And so every year you're trained at a specific thing. And so that's why they have a template of mind control programming around the world. And that's what I proved, because over the years, I started working with 100 survivors and from all over the world, no matter what age they were, what cultural, whatever beliefs they had, we all still had the same mind control template. And so if you think about Illuminati, how organized it is, the hierarchy, it's the same way with the template. They have to have an organized way to do this mind control or MK Ultra all over the world, but it's the exact same. So that's kind of the big secret.
The MK Ultra programming ritual sexual abuse always part of it, or just a piece of it?
Of MK Ultra?
Yeah. Is
Oh
that
yeah, absolutely.
the sexual and physical abuse? Obviously, the psychological comes with that or emotional, but that is the foundational pillar of this type of compartmentalized fracture that happens in the mind. So everybody's enduring this horrific sexual abuse.
They do. And what happens with the child is if you cannot split your mind, you will die. So any survivor like myself, you would say, okay, she was able to split her mind, because what has to happen is the torture is so great. They either have to split their mind, and then the mind goes into a compartment, that altar that can handle the sexual abuse or the physical abuse or whatever they're called to do. We all have different jobs. So my job was actually, you probably have heard of it, like Kathy O'Brien, a messenger between foreign dignitaries and presidents.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, mine started with Nixon and Ford. And I did go to Clinton as he was a governor, but I didn't become a slave to Hillary Clinton until I was a teenager, a little bit older.
Um,
So when they had, oh, sorry.
were you conscious of these things at the time, or you had to be awakened to this later through different types of therapy and access?
Yeah, nobody's awake in in an early age. The kids never would survive, never. They couldn't even do it anyway, because they teach children to have an altar to do sexual things that adults won't do.
Oh, yeah.
So, so there's no kid that could survive any of this unless they had the altars. So
Yeah.
that's just a given.
Right.
If you're a survivor, you have altars, and you have a lot of them,
Mhm.
because they do torture you. But that's the outer part of it. The real truth is the spiritual part. See, they have a very deep hidden spiritual, where they're building Lucifer's kingdom into every person. And this is where they start attaching demons to all the programs. And this is the hidden programming. And then the front programming is more of what you're talking about, is like, okay, they're going to do Disney programming. I call that front programming, but it's all with ritual abuse. It's all, torture, rape, drugs, that kind of thing. So that's how they do all the programming. And that's just given too. But what I started figuring out, I'll tell a long story short. I started going to therapy for like, I don't know, forever, it seemed like, and for
What
20
age
years. And it
did you
started in
begin?
the
What
90s.
you started at 20 years old going to therapy?
No, I think it was 29, but I started going in the 90s, and nobody would talk about this kind of stuff. And then every therapist I went would go, I don't know how to help you. I don't know how to help you. And so basically, I decided I'm in big trouble, or I better figure this out, because nobody's helping me. And so I started remembering the cult stuff. And then it took a few years to really remember the military and Hillary Clinton and all the deeper programming. And then some cases, it took a very long time, like very long, to remember the spiritual programming. And the only reason I did is the main reason I kind of wanted to share to the world right now, a big thing that we need to understand what has happened. So I went through a lot of therapy, and I did help myself, and I had a million memories, and I thought I was free. And then in 2000, so actually I became a practitioner of holistic modalities, helping survivors all over the world, traveling. My life is happy. I'm happy. And then something happens. and I thought, oh my gosh, I know something's happened. And I was like in shock. And it's because they took me back in 2015 because they were going to, Hillary Clinton was going to be the president. So they were bringing back all the old slaves and whoever else they brought back. But and this is how I learned how they called me back, is because I had a New World Order soldier inside of me, an altar that was to be a sleeper until that time. So they started calling me back up and all the rest of us to get updated. And what happened in 2015, what they were updating with me, almost all of it's occurred except martial law and the actual New World Order. And so what happened?
I want to back up for a second. I want to make sure I can track this and I can catch this. So you're living your life. They obviously know what you're doing because they never not allow you to not be under some type of surveillance because they got to protect themselves. My guess is so. So you said in 2015 it began again. They called you. They had to activate something in you. People have seen Born Identity. They'll use a phrase or music or something to trigger the altar to come out, and then you're back to this other person. And so when they called you in 2015, did you find yourself somewhere with these people again?
No, what they did was, so I want to make this very clear. I had a New World Order soldier altar that had been trained since a little child, like all MK Ultra survivors have. This was actually created for, I think I always get these two confused, but the Rockefellers. And the CIA is really just controlled by the Rockefellers, and they wanted a army to be built, and so that's where kind of MK Ultra came up, is their army. So what we were really created for, besides all the sexual stuff, is to be right now when they need their army. So they are activating many, 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 many people. So what happened is I was getting very upset in 2015. It was after, it took me about 2 years to understand like what the hell has happened. And I started really, it's like something inside my mind just like split wide open and all this information started coming, because they shouldn't have took me back at that age. And Fauci was actually the one doing the programming. He didn't hurt me, but he did the programming. And then when I couldn't do what I used to be able to do as a child, Mark Milley, he raped me to get this done.
When did that happen? We're talking about the Joint Chiefs Chairman under Obama. So
yeah, that happened in 2015.
Holy Christ. Where did this happen? Where were you?
The Las Vegas base.
Okay, so which base?
Everything happens at the military base.
So was it Creech? Was it Nellis? Was it what base? Was it Area 50?
And that is what I can't I don't have that. I just know it's in Las Vegas. Because I lived in Las
Billy
Vegas.
travels to this base. How'd they get you to the base? Do you remember that?
Well, they'll just call the New World the soldier.
Okay, and then you'll board a plane and you'll go to there and
no, I just went to Las Vegas because I lived in Las Vegas.
Oh.
I just went there. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll just drive myself there.
Right.
And then basically it was a 7-day thing. And the first 4 days they were doing the update programming. So they didn't have to do a lot of new things, because all they did was take the old programming and just add it to it. So that's all they needed to do for all of the MK Ultra soldiers. And so everybody's been updated by now, for sure.
Okay.
And so then they did a 3-day ritual. And so every single person that you could ever think of was there. The Obamas, Biden, Clinton, Soros, Pelosi, Liz Cheney, the list goes on, but anybody was there.
Dick Cheney there?
I don't know. I don't know if I saw him.
Okay.
But anybody was there. And they were preparing to get Hillary into the presidency. And so this is what is a big piece that I would like everybody to understand what they did. Fauci, who was in on it, I don't know, but they came up with a lot of a new technology that they implanted in the soldiers. Not me, military soldiers. So the Army, the Marines, the Air Force, and Navy. And what they had done, they had planted this military technology into them. And when Fauci did his little turning on stuff, they did exactly what he said. And then everybody there was so happy and so excited that they could control the military. And that is still there. I don't know how many, soldiers have been implanted, but I'm pretty positive there's going to be a lot. And there's also a lot of soldiers, I'm talking military soldiers, that have been MK Ultra'd for this time as well. I mean, their hope is that they'll control everything. So the rituals, I saw so many horrible things done, but that was the biggest thing that I think I want people to understand is who runs our governments, especially our government, what they do. They kill people. They sacrifice people. And they had a whole bunch of migrants there for the sacrifice at every age. And they were just doing huge sacrifices, huge orgies, huge everything. And this is who runs our government.
You
And
say
so when I,
orgies and sacrifices and all that.
yes, all the sexual, they always love to have their sexual stuff.
Mhm.
And then, of course, Hillary is always doing what she loves to do, which is hurt children and, all that. I don't like to get into that kind of thing, but what you've heard is true about Hillary. I have witnessed it.
You mean
So
the murder of children?
the blood, the organs, she eats the organs, everything. So she does all of that. So let me tell you how I'm going to kind of go off to a different side here. But I was in this experiment and I was about, I don't know, 15, 16, something like that. And that's how she found out about me, I guess, because I actually lived through it. And so I had always had this memory about 17 that I was taken by my dad to a house and there was like a whole bunch of men there. And they gave my dad a check and he left for a week. And for every day, they did horrible things to me for 7 days. They didn't give me food, water. And then what happened is at the end of the seventh day, because I didn't know this at the time, that the reason they were doing this is to see if I could survive and if I was worthy to be Hillary Clinton's slave. And so I did live, which I wish I wouldn't have at the time, of course, but the last day, because I had no food, no water, they gave me beer and they said, beer will save you. The beer, because it did literally, because I hadn't had any food or drink. And so that's what they do. They try to, do this kind of stuff with any kind of addictions, alcohol or whatever. They're going to try to get you to believe it's some kind of saving, whatever. I mean, they've got a million ways to program that stuff. So and then we had a ceremony that I was given to Hillary Clinton. So it was a literal ceremony that was with these other high people. I didn't know who they were, but it was given to her. And what that means is to be an eternal slave. So in their mind, they think I'm her slave for eternity. And of course, that's not true, but that's what happened. And then they made me do a couple things I don't share. But I had to, I've debated whether to say this or not. I don't know if I should. I don't think I should.
This is Patriot Street Fighter. He gets as raw as you want to be here. You want to call these?
No, I just don't know if it's the right thing. But let's just say they made me do something incredibly horrible, and it wasn't to another. They did something very horrible to me, basically, so they could use the sacrifice. So, do you get my point, maybe?
I'm not sure. I'd like to hear, but if you're not comfortable, then you don't have to tell us.
Well, okay. Hopefully, I won't regret this. But basically, they made me. I know this is going to be horrible, but Bill Clinton got me pregnant so they could have the sacrifice of the baby.
Okay.
And that was part of being a slave to her.
And so did they sacrifice the baby?
Yes.
And so did you show up there pregnant and they took the baby or?
No. After I was given to her as a slave, then I had to do that.
Okay, and so you had the baby in a military base, and they just took it from you after it was done, and you don't.
No, this actually, I don't know where we were, but it almost like a cave somewhere underground. I don't even know where it was, honestly. It was
You,
about, it was below some building. So,
you remember
um,
birthing the child? Do you remember that?
hmm,
You had this motherly
yeah.
connection, or do your brain compartmentalize it and it wasn't there?
Well, they do. Okay, so every survivor is made to have children. Okay, because that's the only way that the cult could have so many babies.
Mm-hmm.
So every survivor that you meet, she's probably had several babies for sacrifice, some more than others. I've actually worked with one who had 30 children. What they do is they give you a shot to have multiple kids at once, and then they take them 4 or 5 months. Rarely will they let this go up to 7 months, but they have to be you have to be able to hide it too. The child does.
Why,
So
why
everybody is,
so young? Why what value is that to them?
because then you have a baby. They need babies
They can't
for
wait.
sacrifice.
Oh, so they don't have to be fully matured in the womb. They just need
No,
a living baby that's actually alive for however long it would live outside the womb. Boy, these
yeah.
people are sick. Holy crap.
Yeah, and they give you shots to get multiple pregnancies, and they also do something to you to make you start your period early. So the first time that ever happened to me was 11.
Okay.
So and then they make I mean, it's just like you're a baby factory. So a lot of times you have alters who are just doing this, and so they don't have any feeling to it. But the first memory I actually had was of the first what happened at 11 years old. That was the first memory I actually had when I started remembering cult stuff. So it's taken me a very long time to work through that, but I have a strong belief in God and I know I'll see him again. So they don't get them, even though they think they do.
Yeah. Yeah. They got the body. They
So
didn't.
I'm no, and they go right to Jesus Christ anyway. So they do not get them. But what they do like to do is steal the life force of someone, you know. And so what I do when I work with people is we just do the earthly act. I don't even know if they need it because Jesus Christ has the baby already. But we do an earthly act to take away what they stole of the life force of
Mhm.
that child, and we send them to Jesus, you know. So it's taken away from the cult member.
Mhm.
So we make sure that that's done. And you know, it's sad because many women have gone through absolute hell, and that's the one thing that will break you, if nothing else will, is to be losing these babies.
When you decided to come out and have these memories and come out publicly, how long ago was that when you started telling the world about these experiences and what you've been through?
2021, I started telling some people.
You
Yeah.
saw now this whole thing is coming unraveled, and you felt now safe because we're pushing out all of the information on these killers, and the world's listening and now understanding and believing because they suffered their own form of an attack, obviously a satanic attack by unleashing a bioweapon, unleashing what they call the vaccine, unleashing remdesivir, unleashing um, um, ventilators on people that were in the middle of a cytokine storm, which finishes them off every time. Um, so they were prepared because now they saw it. For you, where's your father today, or your grandfather gone? Do they know you're coming out in front of the world and pointing fingers at them?
Well, most of my family's dead. So if my father's alive, I don't know. I haven't seen him in probably 30 years. So, because as soon as I started remembering, I told everybody that I didn't want to see him anymore. But I thought we were free of them and we weren't, you know, but they're pretty much all dead. So I don't have that worry. But what happened is in 2019, the Lord just told me, I want you to write this book. And he pretty much wrote the first book, almost all of it. And then I was supposed to write number two. And so it was actually not put out until 2021. And that's when I went public with my book. And then I started just telling some not too deep stuff. And then my second book was in 23. And then that's when all hell broke loose. And then my husband and I were attacked. Really, basically, is a huge part of his death because of we were being attacked by the top of the Illuminati, the Mothers of Darkness, the top Mothers of Darkness that are over all the world. They all came attacking us with satanic rituals, 7-day rituals, 13-day rituals to kill us. It was nonstop for 18 months after my second book. And then that's when all these mothers of darkness started coming in to see me to get help, and some were a spy. And then that was pissing off everybody because I was helping them. So we've been viciously attacked. And then my husband passed away in December. It's a long story, but the cult killed him. A whole bunch of different things went into play, but they killed him. And so, but my husband wanted me to finish this work. So sorry, I'm trying to finish the work. He just died in December, but I really didn't even know if I could get this third book out. I just did. Because they came after me so bad. And so, of course, now that I'm public, they're coming after me again, with the spiritual attacks. But anyway, that's what always happens. They don't like what I'm telling, because what I did write in my third book is not published. This is from 20 women that I worked with that were mothers of darkness, and one male that was a father of darkness or father of death.
Were they coming for help? They were trying to escape that?
Yeah.
Or were they infiltrators?
Yes.
Coming for true help?
Both.
Okay.
There was both. Believe me, there was both for sure.
By the way,
And
your husband, by the way, with whatever they're coming at you, he's providing all kinds of weaponry from the ethereal realm right now. And what they don't understand is when they take somebody's life, I don't think they understand what happens. You've got like this extra dimensional force, this vibrational force that just, I mean, you pissed it off. And now it's bringing a higher level of weaponry against them. They may know that, or I'm guessing they don't, because they think they can just easily take the life and that's gone. But that's not how it works.
That's right. That's true. And I wasn't actually attacked until I got the book out. And actually, I teach a training for therapists all around the world. It doesn't matter what professional their background is, because a lot of people don't know how to work with MK Ultra survivors. So I want to show them what could actually succeed and actually help someone, and to help them understand what the true programming is. And so I was training them. And then I had to finish a last class from last year. It was like 3 weeks ago. And that night, when I finished the class of what I taught, I was attacked by 13 women. And the one was the top of the mothers of darkness. And they said they're going to kill me in cold blood. And they cursed me with all this bullshit. But anyway, so I always have to deal with the curses and, just destroy the curses. But sometimes you have to know what they're cursing you with. And so it's important to do that. So I teach people how to do that too, is understand what they're cursing you with, because sometimes that you need to know. And they always curse with killing you. They curse in certain areas: health, relationships, money. They don't want you to be happy, and you're not to remember. So those are the really, really focused curses, and they can't stand you to ever be happy. So they're always cursing to take away whatever they can. So
I can't imagine, especially in your position. You've been chosen for this battle as obviously a high level warrior, and that alone, I think, it creates a high vibration in your soul that always will overcome their darkness and their attacks. Because how could you not feel a sense of I don't want to call it self-worth, but a sense of spiritual purpose, that you're here for this reason. You're doing it. You're taking on these dark powers. Most people would be too terrified to, but you've been built for it. You've been built by them with their weaponry to be able to turn it back against them. The power of that mind. All weapons can be turned on. The weapons that the enemy forces wield can always be turned on them. And the best way to do it, I think the greatest defeat is when you take their weaponry that they use and use it to take them down. Absolutely.
100%. Thank you for saying that. I know there are many times I didn't want to do this, and I kept telling God, I don't want to do this anymore. And he still keeps sending me people that I would, anyway. And he wanted me to write this book, and he wanted me to get it out there. So I got all this information out there. And it is what really this information is to help us understand what we're truly dealing with. They built these women and men to be the weapons against humanity. The evil that they can wield is beyond your imagination of what they can do. They can cause somebody to have a heart attack, a tumor. They can cause them to kill them. They can get into your dreams. They can do all kinds of stuff. And so that I've written it all out for people to understand what they were trained, but they were really trained to be the Eve and Adam of Lucifer.
Hmm.
And so they literally get the directions straight from him at some point when they're able to handle that much evil.
Yeah.
And you know what the weird thing is about them
Mm.
is their core self is usually very strong and they love God, but they have the altar that loves Lucifer. So they have to deal with this huge, you know, fight within them. And most of the time, they don't even know they have this altar with the Mothers of Darkness. I don't think they've ever really gotten free because of what they have to do to get free. It's pretty intense.
So these
So
mothers of darkness sit around like in a seance type of session to cast these curses on you, or do they get in physical contact with you? How does that work?
Mothers of Darkness just do the satanic rituals. I mean, they're just survivors of of all this stuff. So they just do rituals, sacrifice.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, some of the things they did to Steve and I, they did have to do a sacrifice for because they were calling on pagan god and goddesses for certain powers and knowledge. And that's what they do at the rituals. They're wanting their power or knowledge. And so the demons, the ancient demons, require that they do sacrifice. And that's where the sacrifice comes in because they're getting something from it. And then, of course, they're taking the life force and they're getting all the other stuff. But
Yeah, the thing about it is what most people don't know.
that's the main.
What people don't realize about, you think these things are extremely powerful, have ultimate authority. Well, they don't because they cannot um, ever become, you know, uh, evolve into this angelic vibration. They have to steal life force. That's why they hate us because we have this angelic life force. They don't have it. They need it to survive. They can't become or produce it. So they have one. They have only one choice, and that's to take it, which means
Yeah,
that's a limitation in and of itself because there will come a time where they can't take it and they're going to die off, which is when we take back
right.
this realm, this dimension or density from those dark powers, and it's collapsing under that weight now as we speak. So that's why you're alive. That's why I'm still alive, and a number of us who've been going full throttle right on a frontal assault on this demonic energy. It would scare most
Yeah.
people to death. But I don't think you're afraid of it. I've never been afraid of it, and I think that is the ultimate weapon is when you don't have fear of these things you see in horror films or whatever. When you just don't have fear of it, I believe it's just because you're standing in the power of the Christ consciousness, and that consciousness alone is impenetrable to these forces. That's how Christ survived it and was able to easily, dominate, conquer, overcome it, whatever. And when people claim to have these beliefs, and I think religion itself is a big problem because it's not teaching the depths of a spiritual side. It's teaching dogma. It's teaching false history in many ways. It's teaching a watered down version of Christ, full message, the power of the full message. They had to. Otherwise, if they hadn't, we wouldn't have this conversation today. This would be Eden already. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, it's not supernatural for you to have that kind of courage, strength. We all have that, but you have to have the belief system. You have to have this true depths of spiritual belief that that's exactly the way it is, and therefore we already won and you already lost. We've already won, they've already lost. That's kind of how I see it. But
It's true.
mhm,
I think the spiritual part of it is what people don't think about too much because, see, this is a spiritual war for them and it's a spiritual war for us. And so a lot of people will say, they want to get free, but I'm like, okay, if you can't call on Jesus Christ or God the Father, who has the authority over the demons, they will not obey you. And every survivor has been downloaded with many fallen angels to keep the programming in place. And the only thing that's going to get rid of them is something that has higher authority. Everything built in Lucifer's kingdom is built on authorities. So the fallen angels are not the same. They all have different levels of authority and skills and rights. And so that's where we have to understand who we're really fighting. And they use them. And you know what's so funny? That our society has been tricked into worshiping with them their pagan gods in our movies. So some of the pagan gods are actually Odin, Thor, they're demon gods, Isis, Astarte. All of those are part of the ancient
Even our
pagan
Christmas trees
gods
are
that were
pagan.
worshipped.
Even the Christmas tree is a pagan symbol,
That's true.
you know,
Yeah.
and
And
we
the they
all rush
worship
out to
them in,
Christmas trees. Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, well, they've totally stole everything, unfortunately. I mean, they've stolen everything and inverted it. So at some point, you have to say, you know what? They've stolen everything, inverted everything. I think I'm just going to enjoy what I want to enjoy. That's kind of where I'm at, really, because there isn't one single thing they haven't stolen.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing because and they people I beat this into my audience constantly. They think that they have not stolen the power of Christ's message or the Bible or like that's the one thing people go, it's not in the Bible, it ain't true, or it's in the scripture. And I'm like, look, I love that we have that about us. I love that we have that even just because we don't understand doesn't nullify this the intention and power of I want to live my life by the Bible. Awesome. I live in the Bible Belt. I love living in the Bible Belt. I don't go to church unless I'm in Benton, Arkansas. I go to Pastor Bob's my pastor. I'll go to that church. And there's wonderful churches out there. And I love that people want to go because they have the intention of doing good, carry on Christ's blueprint of finding your way finding your way home, so to speak. That's awesome. But the reality is, this should have been done by now. This should have been won by now. You say, well, why hasn't it been? People say, this is the way it's supposed to be. Really? Okay, well, why don't you tell it to one of these kids that are going through what you went through, like right now in some underground system? Ask them if it's working on the planet. Because I'm sure they're going to say, yeah, you're out of your effing mind. Why don't you switch me places then if it's working and see what you think. That's just always my comeback. We're not there because they didn't leave the Bible alone. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been taking books out of the Bible. They wouldn't have been creating
Yes.
dichotomies and contradictions that we cannot psychological rectify in our minds, and it keeps in a state of fear and doubt because we shouldn't have that if everything was as it should be. It's not. But again, I only say these things to get people to unhitch their brain from that, the dogma, all of it, so they can focus on fighting in through the walls and getting into the spiritual vibration, getting into that zone, because that's where
Having a
Christ
relationship
lives.
with Christ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where Christ lives. You got to get to it. It's inside of you, but you can't activate
Yeah.
it while you're focused on dogma. You're not getting, the pineal gland being crystallized. All those things are taking away our power to connect with source. So I understand it's not a judgment. It is what we have to fight through. But some people don't want to acknowledge it. They just don't, that's not because we were MK Ultra programmed by religion, by television, by radio, by ads, by watching society culturally. That is all MK Ultra programming. All of it.
Yes. Well, just to let everyone know about MK Ultra is inside of a survivor, they have many, 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 many programs taking from the Bible. They have many experiences with the Nephilim. And do you know that supposedly there is no such thing as Jesus Christ, but every survivor gets programmed at almost every age to hate him? So if he's not real, why would they care? And they go through great lengths of hurting a baby at 13 months old at a specific ceremony to make sure that they don't ever trust God. At every age, they're being tested to make sure they hate Christ. So if it's not real, then why are they doing that to all of us? Why would they take the time? So it's the Nephilim is actually real, and the military have been building a Nephilim army. They're not giants anymore. They look like us. They don't have a soul, but they have been building a Nephilim army along with. Okay, so you have. Okay, I'm going to tell you the different armies they've built. One is the MK Ultra Survivor New World Order soldier. Then they have the military that they have under MK Ultra. Then they have the clone army. Then they have the Nephilim army. And I would imagine they have all these sleepers from other countries that aren't under mind control, but just, ready to do whatever they're planning. So,
Well,
so
let
they
me
have
ask you
quite a
this.
few different.
Well, I got to ask you this because we got to know how to handle that. Because, I mean, first when you brought up Mark Milley, and I thought, I mean, you're talking about an existing chairman, Joint Chiefs chairman, and under Trump, right? Now, obviously, we believe, I would think you would believe that Trump knows all of this too. That's why he's in the role he's in. And you know, he's got a guy that he knows that is a Satanist in his cabinet. Some people say, well, that makes Trump one of them. Well, I don't necessarily buy that either, because when people come back and look at the way Trump handles many things in the world in his position, and it looks like he's aligning with the dark side. Um, and I always give the latitude, like, okay, well, let's look at this again for what it is. So you all think that Trump's truly one of them faking us out. Okay. Why would they create a scenario where it was already set up for Hillary to win? She was the second half of the 16-year plan. Obama takes over the cliff. She then launches cleanup operations, which is obviously the thermonuclear strike on Moscow, because they're going to blame a detonation of a weapon, nuclear weapon, in the U.S., and it was going to come from the stockpile that Hillary sold them, and then justify it, and then of course kick that whole thing off. So that's all ready to go. It's all been set up for years, and these actions as her Secretary of State, this other stuff is already set up. But they say we got to bring in the real guy in. This is all ready to go. We've engineered this whole thing, but let's bring Trump in, you know, another one of our bad guys, and let's do it this way. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's like heading through the mountains in Colorado and coming to, you know, a major, those super tunnels that go through the mountains. And you say, that's like, okay, it's already set up. Here we are. We got our Ferrari. We're rolling through it. But hey, let's stop at the edge of the tunnel. Let's try this plan. And it's going to be the Donald Trump change out. We want to get to the other side of the mountain. We can drive right through. It's already done. But no, let's get on a donkey and let's go over the Rocky Mountains on a donkey to come out the other side. And that'd be the Donald Trump option. I'm like, that's about the dumbest thing you could possibly say. Seriously, this thing was won. It was done. So they're gonna, what do they give a shit who the leader of this, the you know, the full capture of the planet is? Hillary, Trump, whatever. That this doesn't make any sense to me. So when I see
Yeah.
these things emerging, and then you have Donald Trump, and I'm like, okay, so he did this, and this. You have the Q operation, you have the massive exposure of what you went through. That's how the world learned. It didn't come from anywhere else on Earth until they launched the Q operation October 28th, 2017, and started to feed us the evidence and the proof of what the whole world is built on. When that came out and you were conscious of it, you must have been thinking, oh my God, the return fire
When
is now
Hillary,
happening.
well, when we all went to vote, I thought for sure Hillary was going to win, and everything inside of me was so triggered because I thought, oh my gosh, because
You knew what you knew.
and
Yeah, you knew what you know. And here's the thing.
I was scared to death. Yeah.
Yeah, rightly so. But here's the power of source, power of our creator, the power of the Christ consciousness. Um, as soon as Trump made that announcement speech on June 15th, 2015, and I had now actively disengaged from elected politics now for 9 years, I walked completely away. I was done because I realized, not to the depths of the corruption, but I realized it was a crime syndicate. But Trump makes an announcement speech, and my audience have heard me say this 1,000 times. It was a massive epiphany to me. I'm like, holy shit, there he is. Because I said for years, it's over for us. There is no Ronald Reagan on the horizon to put the brakes on this. And there he made that speech 5 minutes in, coming down the escalator, does this thing. I was like, holy shit, there he is. And I was like, right to Facebook, and it just I got at that point 20 25 years in my head of all this information. And I start laying down why this is an absolute guaranteed certainty. He wins big, and this is what's coming. Of course, you know, I got beat up. The most attacks and pushback I got were from Republicans, because they were all
Believe
Ted
it.
Cruz.
I
They're all
believe it.
Ted Cruz fans. Ted Cruz, a deep stater. In my,
They're all deep state. I
they're
mean,
all deep
come
state.
on.
Yeah.
There's no Republicans or Democrats.
Yeah.
That's foolish.
Nope.
It's they're all one team,
So
you know.
Trump, when
And
Trump wins, what did you thought? What did that do to you when Trump won?
I think maybe it started the ability to start remembering things I couldn't maybe face, I guess, what they had done to me, because it was really hard to accept that they were able to do it in the first place after I had already been with so many memories for so long.
Mhm.
And I had a pretty good life. I was pretty happy. So anyway, the one thing I want to tell you about Trump real quick is all the survivors I've ever worked with, which is 100, they have never once accused him ever of hurting them.
Being anywhere.
Whereas I have heard everybody else pretty much. And the other thing is that I do believe Trump is a good. I think he's definitely on a good team. I think he does the best he can because the CIA is still full of all of this crap. I mean, unfortunately, they still are running wild with all their stuff. And he's doing the best he can because it's so deep. This deep state is in every little piece of everything.
Mhm.
And the CIA and the FBI have to be taken down because I don't think it's possible to save them or any of the other ones, really.
I don't either. I really don't. I mean, I know there's good people in there, but again, there are good people in there who are good, but they've been programmed too for activation at some point, and they don't know it either, right?
I'm a little worried about Patel because I really believed in him so much. And then when he kind of doesn't do anything, but the thing that really freaked me out is when Charlie Kirk died and he said, I'll see you in Valhalla,
Right.
because Valhalla is a heaven of Odin's demon. It's for demon warriors. So it's a battlefield of warriors that's a heaven, but it's Odin's heaven, which is a demon.
Well, what I wonder
So
about that,
that
there's
is
also the place that's called Valhalla where people go into witness protection, keep their own identity. It's basically a separate society where they all go there and they live a life separate from, the rest of the interaction, I guess, or to a great degree of the planet, where apparently it's a program that's been underway for a long time. And some of these people,
okay.
they don't need to
I'd
change.
rather hear that.
Yeah, they don't change their identity. They don't have any plastic surgery. They don't do it. They just basically I put it to the likeness of like Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, where John Galt starts pulling the producers of the world, who are always under attack by the left, the people that want everything for free, and they start taking the people that make the world go around, quietly disappearing from the planet. So the whole machine of production starts to crash, and then they get what they ask for. But all these people, whether they're high level musicians, whether they're high level engineers, scientists, whatever, writers, they're all being secretly approached by John Galt, laying this whole thing out. Let's withdraw from this world, let it collapse. Let them see for themselves what happens when you attack the people that make the world what it is. And then they go to this
Right.
secret place. It has a hologram that you can't, you fly over it, you can't see it because of hologram veils or whatever. But that's my understanding of what Valhalla is, if that's what he's talking about.
Okay, well, I like that one better because Valhalla really truly is though the other one I said, but
Well,
if
here's what
it's
I
the
and
other one is
you would say, why the hell would they call something like that Valhalla? I personally believe that they're using their names and their symbols against them, because like you take the symbols
okay.
of like 13, they made us believe that like Friday the 13th, no 13th floor in buildings, all this kind of stuff. 13's a sacred number. It's like the swastika, the Nazi swastika, what I had seen recently in the last couple of years. That is actually a spiritual symbol, but they turn it into darkness. They invert everything. Up is down, down is up. They
They
invert
do.
everything 180, even the
Yeah.
language, just in language to get the reverse effect, like banking. Let's just take one example, banking. When you go to a bank and you put your money in your bank account, what do you call that? It's considered a what?
Deposit?
Yeah, a deposit. Well, D means
Oh,
from, out. So you're actually not depositing your money, you are positing your money. That's what it truly
okay.
is. What they make it, and they make you call it a deposit, because you're basically, the money's being taken from you, given to them, and it's now their money. They've even put laws in place now in this government, where once you put it in the bank, it's no longer yours, it's theirs, period. But so it's not a deposit. Um, it's a posit. All our entire language is built this way. So it has this spiritual frequency of the true intention for the word. That's why when I'd say, okay, Valhalla here, it would give instant concern to me, but I still get nothing but a vibration of light from all of these things that are underway now. And when people
Okay.
doubt Trump and they see things that he says or does, and then everybody runs around, it's 5D chess, 5D chess. And then once there's something that they don't understand, oh, I think Trump's bad. We were wrong. Wait, didn't you just run around blasting Q operation information for 4 years and 5D chess and all this? But all of a sudden you're panicked. Like, okay, let's stop the bullshit. Where do you really land here? Do you really truly understand what's happening here? In my opinion, I
I
believe
think
they're
he's
taking,
doing good.
yeah, I think the symbolism, yeah, you see sometimes I saw Eric Trump doing this at the inauguration, the upside down pyramid, and his wife
Oh,
goes like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stop doing that. I'm like, what the hell would he be doing that for? They know the whole
Is
world.
that the tip of the star? Tip of
It's
the
it's the
spear?
Illuminati sign. It's like, hey, we're one of you. I can't get my hands up high enough, but it's not this. It's
Okay,
upside down. So you see these people
okay.
giving us hand signs everywhere. I've seen I don't know if I've seen Trump do it. Obviously, Eric Trump do it at the inauguration, and you've seen others do this too. Pardon my French, but I think Trump is just fucking with them. I think they're using their symbolism to show that, hey, we're with you. We're doing this, you know.
Well, do
I
you
think
think,
that's 5D chess.
okay, what about this one then? He was at the funeral of Charlie Kirk, and Elon Musk was sitting next to him, and he put Trump put his hands like that, and then Elon Musk put his hands in a different direction. And do you think they were giving some kind of message, or what do you think?
I didn't see it. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, from my knowledge, that is not Elon Musk. That's 2.0.
No, I don't think it is
That's it.
either.
Look,
Yeah.
all these people. Yeah, all you gotta do is it's amazing how people can't see these things. How this is why it's so easy to program us. None of these people have any wrinkles in their faces that they've had for periods in their life. Look at Mike Pence. Because I come from that world, I've watched Pence since the 90s. I've liked Pence as a potential candidate when he was a congressman. He wasn't even governor of Indiana yet, running massive trafficking operations, killing 185 kids. Okay, he's always got a perpetual tan forever. Deep wrinkles from the tanning and all the over the years. That's just Mike Pence, silver hair, nice tan, good-looking guy, distinguished, etc. Now he becomes vice president, pasty white, not a wrinkle anywhere within 50 miles of the guy. Elon Musk, same
Mm.
thing. Their hair is too perfect. I mean, look at all of it. These people don't have wrinkles. Now, if they engineer face masks for wrinkles in them, then of course you'll see that. But why don't they do all that? I think again, they're trying to do what's necessary, but they're trying to let those of us who understand and know pick it out, see these people. That's not the real one. That's not the real one. That's not the real one. So I've seen
Well,
these. Of
Hillary Clinton is not the real one.
course not.
She's dead. I know that
He's
for
done. Well,
absolute fact.
that came directly from one of Trump's top advisors to my contact, who's very close friends with her, and this information gets passed to me. That was 2017, December 31, or 2018, December
I
31.
think that's when she actually died.
Yeah,
It was
Trump
right around there, right?
pardon me, she was executed again.
No, I think she did die around that time, 2017, somewhere in there.
She was executed
After
again.
the Yeah,
Executed.
after the election. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes it. And I also think that Fauci was as well,
yeah,
maybe around 2018. And then the other one that I know, let's see, who's the other one that I know is not the real one? Well, Biden, of course,
yeah.
I've seen Biden. So the real Biden, that's not the
Yeah,
real
when you
Biden.
saw them march this Biden out, obviously you've had your horrible interactions with this guy because he's one of them in your past, I'm guessing. But when you saw what they marched out to make the announcement as a presidential candidate, I'm sure he did what I did. Like, what the hell is this? Was that year in your
I
mind? Like,
know.
who the hell is that? That ain't Biden. Are you kidding me?
No, I knew it wasn't Biden. I always
Right.
did. And I'm like you. I started like saying things in 2020 when the COVID came out, and everybody started calling me every name under the sun. And then as time went on, I'd keep saying all this stuff, and then they would the name calling went down, down, down until it stopped because they could see I was saying what was the truth. Because I was never even fooled by COVID for 1 second, and everybody else was so they believed it.
Well, so
But
when it comes to Trump, um, this guy's rounded up more traffickers and pedophiles in his first term than the last five presidents combined. How can you
Yeah,
not believe this guy is going after to crush and destroy this child trafficking operation? And they're doing it every day. I mean,
I
they got
believe he is.
high level subterranean warfare going on and so many horrible things that these soldiers have to endure and deal with, things that are not even of this planet, and the horrible things they have to try to live with after they see it. So why do you think that's happening? That's happening because Trump and the military are making their move.
I believe you. I do. I believe that because listen, the one thing that always gave me why I believe he's on the good team is because if you're on the bad team, they don't attack you. And he has been attacked more than anybody, I think, ever.
Oh,
And if he
hands
was on
down.
their team, he wouldn't be harmed.
Yeah, hands down. I mean, they can't even fake that, hey, this is just a fake operation to make you guys believe that he's one of you. Um, that doesn't even make sense, you know. But again, you see some of these amazing things that have happened through the course of this time, like Butler, PA. As soon as that happened, I said that was a staged event, staged. And it wasn't staged by the bad guys, it was staged by the good guys. That was confirmed by one of his top advisors, who I've never met personally. The information just comes from me secondhand from my friend who gets this information from her. But that to me, that was clear as day. This whole thing was staged. And then you look at Charlie, same thing. I waited back for a whole week. I said nothing publicly to anybody. I watched everybody digging up everything they can to try to figure out what the truth was. And then you start to see all the anomalies. Yeah, you can't have that many anomalies. And then you see that the holograph projector behind him back here, all that crime scene not roped off. They're taking a holograph projector. You looked at two guys that were involved in, I heard it was Charlie 2.0. I heard it was Charlie 2.0 that was being utilized again against the dark powers. An operation like this. What does
Do
it
you
do?
think he died or not?
Personally, I have great doubts. I believe that's why Cash Patel said, "We'll see you in Valhalla, my friend." I believe that is why. I don't know when the infiltration started on Charlie as far as becoming part of an operation, but look, this thing is truly stranger than fiction. I don't think anybody has a grasp of how convoluted this game and this war is. And
Yeah,
when
I
you,
believe it.
I,
Yeah.
I finally saw something yesterday. Stu Peters covered it because you see Charlie. I mean, I picked this out myself. I was not going at this like an attack dog, like everybody in the world naturally does. I just come off the road after 3 months of touring. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to get things back together here, get my life moving again. So I'm just not in this. But I see bits and pieces popping up, people telling me stuff. So I didn't get emotionally charged. I got to figure it out. I just let it sift and filter. And then, so here comes the things that I see. I'm like, oh, yeah, this was definitely a staged white hat operation. Um, that was
You
also
honestly think it's the White House? Because I thought it
white
was
hat,
CIA and
white hat operation, not White House, which is basically the same thing.
I mean, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that was already, again, confirmed to me by my contact from Trump's advisor, the same one that he's close to. Said that was a stage white hat operation. Now, the only thing that I've seen to date that can throw doubts in there with me at all, first you see on this side of Charlie, there's a black dot there. I'm like, what the hell's that? And the black dot moves across his t-shirt, because I slowed the whole thing down, and it lands over here at the spot and sits there before it starts like pouring what's supposed to be blood. Blood doesn't pour out, especially not close to the heart. The heart's pumping. It's spraying, spraying, spraying. Every horror film you've ever seen in your entire life, this is what they show. And they exaggerate it because that's what naturally happens. But this pouring out of the shirt like running water, that doesn't make sense on any level. And it's not bright red, which is
No.
hugely
And
bright
that
red.
bullet would never, never, it would
Well,
have knocked
if
his
they
whole head
say
off.
it's a 30-06. Trust me, I come from the biggest hunting state in the nation. Pennsylvania has more guns in the woods on the first day of buck season than the largest standing army on the earth, on the planet. There's a million high power rifles. You don't hit anything with a 30-06 that's not going to blow the other side of the guy's neck out period. And I hear all these bullshit things coming out of
Right.
these people and other talking about, well, it has to go before it spreads out 16 inches. Like, you
Mhm.
don't know what the hell you're talking about, obviously. So that's total bullshit.
Right.
But the one thing that I saw Stu Peters cover the other day, the guy that is apparently from the stories are saying his team were all Israelis, his security team were all Israelis, and he's going up against Israel. There were plans in there to probably
Nice.
assassinate him. True or not, I don't know. But here's the one Boy Scout looking dude with a brown button-up short sleeve shirt on. He's to Charlie's right. Here's Charlie's over there. He's got the Top Gun sunglasses on, and at some point he does this, has his arm here, and he brings his arm up to here, and they say he's got one of those palm pistols, and it does this quick like move, and then you hear a noise, and boom, Charlie's going down. It's not a palm pistol. What Stu Peters says, that was a detonator for the Rode lapel mic that was on Charlie's. The black part we saw is the actual mic on the outside. Underneath, it's probably magnetic. That's the transmitter or receiver, whatever. And they have technology. They can put an explosive charge and projectile in the transmitter. So they said when this guy was doing this and it makes a hand move, a quick one, and this then it goes off, he was detonating the transit transmitter with a projectile or the detonator that was in there. And then it's right here. And so it's moving up through here. And that trajectory would show it coming out as an exit wound on this side, which wasn't an entrance wound, an exit wound. And I was like, now, and they show right after that happens, Charlie goes down. One of the guys on the security team jumps over this metal rail that's holding like a banner, jumps over top of it, gets to Charlie in some way. They say right here, and they show it some way. This is when he was grabbing that lapel mic, putting in his pocket. The dude that supposedly detonated it, he comes around and they both bump into each other, these two guys, and they show the handoff going to get rid of the detonator that the other guy had in his hand, and he puts it in his pocket and he scurries away and takes off. So I'm like, holy shit, look at that.
I'm
Like,
kind of believing that one,
well,
honestly.
me too. It's hard not to, but at the same time, you got to understand these guys have been doing this so well for 90 years. Do you think they're not going to put yet another one of those potential diversions in there to make a faction of the people believe that Charlie is truly dead? Because if the greater majority of the people don't believe Charlie's dead, this massive turning point that's happening right now in the world where humanity is done. They're fed up. You got millions of people pouring into the streets in Europe, in the UK in support of Charlie. 62,000 plus chapters are now requested within days for schools and high schools and colleges for chapters of Turning Point USA. You have this massive mindset that people have had it with the Democrat, the left, the lunacy. They're murderers now. They're flat out gonna kill you like BLM Antifa. That to me is such an important effect on the planet of what it created. So you damn well better have people
Yeah.
believe in it, right? And so when people say I don't believe,
Right.
then they can
Well,
put forth
do you know
this
what's
narrative.
weird though?
Mhm.
Is okay, I always say his name not right, but the Netanyahu or something like that, the
Netanyahu.
Israel
Just
president.
think he's a
Yeah.
Yahoo, but they put Netan in front of Netanyahu.
Yahoo. Okay.
Netanyahu.
So he was at the UN and he spoke of how the good old days when they used the pager and how they would blow up the pager.
See what I mean? You're not going to put those
I
clues
know.
out in front of the world. You're not going to have an operation active by Netanyahu or Israel if that's what they're claiming. I don't know what the truth is. I'm just saying this is what people are claiming. He's not going to put clues out there that, hey, it was us, right? It's
Right.
stupid. So
Even
you
though I
have
think
to
it is.
say, pardon me?
Well, okay, if Charlie's dead, then who I think is involved is the three-letter agency, which is always involved in this crap, and Israel. That's my thought. If he's alive, I don't know. I can't tell you on that
Well,
one.
here's what I was told. What I was told was, you know what Project Looking Glass is?
Yeah.
Okay. They saw through Project Looking Glass what Charlie's fate was going to be. They were going to do this. So let's do our version of it. Let's make it go our way.
Let's be clear when you say they, when you're saying they, who's they?
the
looking through
dark powers, the deep state, the dark powers, the killers,
okay,
the
okay,
satanic realm.
okay.
These people, Project Looking Glass is a quantum technology. Again, I won't even get into that because it becomes a whole nother conversation. But and it was military intelligence that showed us and let us know what Project Looking Glass is. The quantum field of all
Okay.
of God's creation is far more amazing and mysterious and mind-blowing than you can possibly imagine. Say, well, I don't believe that. No shit. Oh, you believe Christ will just step out of a boat and walk on top. You believe that. You'll believe that he'll put his hands on somebody and heal. You believe that too. And you'll believe he'll take Lazarus and just raise him from the dead. Yes, he did that. How do you know? Because the Bible said, were you there? No, but yet, oh, but you don't believe the quantum realm can operate this way. Well, that's bullshit. Okay. That's why I don't buy into your form of the Bible or religion or Christianity. You are programmed with dogma to believe anything that doesn't make sense. But when you try to parallel something over here, parallels that? No, that can't be true. Okay, we're done. If you can't use your brain, we have no conversation. The reality of this is God's creation, whatever God is, a photon of light, a consciousness, an energy vibration, a field. I don't care what God is. You want to call it God's source, Allah, Butch, Sally, the creator, almighty. I don't care about that shit either. The simple fact is you got to stop with your own bullshit and start thinking about what you're saying and make it apply to everything. It either applies to everything or applies to nothing. It's that simple. The quantum field is a predictive architecture of its own. That's what Christ was trying to tell us. He showed us the way. He was showing us quantum physics. You work in concert with God's plan, which is his architecture of quantum reality. You work with it and you can manifest anything you can dream up. If you work against it, then you're not going to get very far with it. So the reality for me is this, is that this kind of technology, they see what is on deck for Charlie Kirk. So rather than lose Charlie Kirk, how about let's stage our version? And our version, number one, has got to be very believable because this can be the turning point to wake humanity up and finally say,
Oh,
we
I think it did.
done. And no doubt it did. But you also have to have that contingent where those of us who can see that there are way too many inconsistencies, discrepancies, anomalies, and things that make zero sense, like a guy who they arrest and he's got a 30-06 and all the bullshit of
Yeah.
that sort. It's so ridiculous.
I knew that was complete lies right at the beginning
Yeah.
because
So
they always just pick the MK Ultra
yeah,
person
yeah.
to be Patsy.
And so you're now again using the dark powers, weapons and strategies and tactics against them. Then why would you not run a mirror program except you have some trap doors there so there's safety for somebody like Charlie? How do you know uh, his wife, who's now doing these symbols of the satanic stuff
I know.
and
What's that about?
Masonic? Look, she wins a beauty pageant. 17. Now she goes to Romania to have a nonprofit to rescue kids, and they say they got proof. I just got this information from somebody who was 40 years Defense Intelligence Agency. This is a guy who snuck into Iran and stole a missile from Iran. That's a massive wingspan of a guy that has those kind of balls, that kind of reach. He said, look at her whole past. Father's DOD
I know.
radar.
I've listened to a few things about it.
Yeah, and then she's
One
got
thing
the
I don't
symbolism.
understand is why would she do that? Like, why would they do that right now? Like her rings, and as a newly widow, I just couldn't
Do
do
you
what
believe
she's
any
doing or
widow
act.
that watched the grotesque assassination of her husband in front of the world could come out days later and give a speech like that and say,
I
I
couldn't.
have forgiven the shooter.
No.
I don't care what your Christian beliefs are. If it was your soulmate, you want that motherfucker beheaded in front of the whole world. I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
just the simple fact of
Yeah.
telling the truth as a human being. I want that guy.
Or it's just easy to forgive somebody who didn't do it.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So again, like I
Yeah.
said, I do not claim to know, everything. A lot of people claim to know this is the truth. I'm telling you what I see, stacking it up against everything that I've been doing for 35 years. I just didn't come out into the open like I did in 2020. and everything that's unfolded with the intelligence operation, and watching all of the pieces of the puzzle, and then basing my conclusions on what has been the consistent emerging dynamic of this battle for Earth. Well, does it fit that dynamic in any way? Well, let's see if it does. And does it? Yes. Look, people believe that Elvis is still alive in a much older form. Okay. They believe that JFK Jr. is still here, possibly Princess Diana, maybe even Prince. Different people removed from the playing field because they needed a way out and to be protected or whatever. So they believe all that, but I don't believe that for Charlie. Really? Why? All these anomalies that don't add up in this whole thing. Not only that, you show me any crime scene when somebody of the importance of Charlie anywhere on earth doesn't have yellow caution tape locking the place down. We got to make sure nobody moves. We need evidence. But it's like a concert breaking down. Like, okay,
Right.
if people can't see that, then they can't believe anything other than what their lying eyes are telling them in that case, right? Does that make sense?
It could backfire though if it was the white hats, because once the all the people that turned to Christ and started going praying and doing things they'd never done in a long time, and then they find out it was a hoax, that could have a really big backfire.
It won't be a hoax. To them, it will not be a hoax. Nobody's going to convince them. If it brought them to their knees to the vibration of the Christ consciousness, nothing else matters to them. They're not looking for anything else. Why? Because they got the soul infusion, the veil, their own personal veil that's been MK Ultra into them has been opened up or burned down, and they got hit with that consciousness. That's the only thing that matters. That's the only important thing. You could say, well, but some people are saying, but that's bullshit. They're lying to us. How do you know they're not driving a different timeline? All things in God's creation, every single possibility and every single outcome of any action by anybody, quadrillions of these outcomes are happening simultaneously, all at the same time in the quantum realm. There's another timeline where this is real, like the real time, the timeline where uh, Charlie obviously survives or whatever. So my belief is they're driving a timeline here. And the timeline is that Charlie was obviously brutally murdered. Why not drive that? Because the bastards were going to do it anyways. They already saw it was coming. So why not use that and not only keep Charlie alive? Let's take the benefit of it, but yet not have to sacrifice one of the key lambs in the battle. Does that make sense? That's kind of how I see it.
It does, and I don't know which one is true.
Me neither.
I do know that it's not real, what we were shown or told.
Yeah.
And Erica, I trust that Charlie was who he was. I sense that in him, like all the videos and stuff, that it seems like that he was Charlie. I don't know about her. Something doesn't seem right.
She was probably
And
she was probably an infiltrator. She was probably sent in. How do you neutralize Charlie, right? You send in a girl
true.
who's this all of a sudden wins a beauty pageant, never been in a pageant before, but she's Miss Arizona. She now is moving to Romania to do things to rescue kids. But as my DIA contact told me, um, look at the evidence. Missing children in her operation are being shipped off to Israel, and the ties to all that stuff. Okay, so that's pretty strange. And then she comes in, marries Charlie, and now got some kids there or whatever, and now she's the one taking over TP USA. Candace Owens is probably the only person who has the wingspan that can pick that torch up, keep it lit at the flame power that it has, and continue. What is this girl going to do? She's going to inspire somebody like
Right.
Charlie could have his intellect and his capacity to communicate these ideas to people that they can assimilate it and actually have a transformation. She doesn't have that. And if she's doing these signs during the funeral,
I know.
that is of Baal and worshiping Moloch. And if she's got Illuminati, Masonic rings, and all this stuff in her, what is all that?
I know.
You have to say,
I know.
put the brakes on. So now
Yeah.
maybe she is being exposed, and if she's being exposed, that's not the real her either.
I was wondering about that. If
Yeah,
because Derek Johnson, I think it is, he shows where it's not the real
yeah.
Erica.
And if
It's
it's
like
not the real
the
one, what did Q Operation tell us? Capital letters, more than once. You are watching a movie. Enjoy the show. What makes a good movie? Good actors, right?
well,
So,
what's the point of it all? I guess, at
well,
some point it's got to end, don't you
the
think?
point is this. We have a window. The Earth has already transitioned into a fourth density sentient consciousness and being, right? And they talk about the rapture, the harvest, make it a horrible, scary, whatever. If we're third density beings in our spiritual evolution, somewhere in there, if you're at the higher end, the higher upper levels of this third density consciousness, you can transition into the fourth density where the Earth has already transitioned and remained here for 1,000 years of bliss and all these things that the Bible talks about. If not, and people disappear, you're third density. You can't survive that transition. You're spiritual, and it's not good, bad, right, or wrong. It's just your ascension track and your evolution of your soul. You're not ready for that, and so you'll incarnate into another third density experience. It won't be on planet Earth because as a sentient being, the planet has ascended to fourth. You have to go through more of these until you learn and spiritually ascend. Therefore, what this planet needs is a great awakening. If if the white hats, let's call them, wanted to wipe out with their 22 or it might be up in the mid 30s, the alliance nations around the world whose militaries are aligned with this whole operation to bring down this dark global power, they could have done that by now. They could have, they could just have an ongoing operation to wipe them all out. What do we have? Humanity at the same level of consciousness, which means what? The dark powers are going to take it all over again in 30, 40, 50, 100 years. We're going to get right back to where the only thing that stops their ability to ever come back is the massive collective consciousness of humanity on the planet to go so high that it can never, the frequency's too high. That dark frequency could never survive, penetrate, get anywhere near. It literally demolecularizes, has to move into a different dimension or is destroyed. So without a great awakening, without the human beings on the planet having a shock and awe spiritual trauma that's so great, whether it's instantaneous or over time, happen to them, there's no victory. I've said this for the last 5 years. There is no victory without a global great awakening that makes us say, we are never going to allow that happen again. We see anything that even looks like that, it's gone, because it's like changing a nation itself. The only way you change a nation, you have to change the philosophy of a nation. If you think it's okay to kill children in satanic rituals and whatever as a nation, um, it's always going to be that way. To get that to end and change it, you have to change the philosophy. This is no good for our spiritual evolution, and we are going to eliminate. And then the nation can change as a culture, the whole nation. The same with the whole world. That's why I believe all of these things that happen the way they do now are good. The bad things will still happen, but when we see these things that we believe that the white hats are staging, they have to use the same tools and weapons to unravel this thing that they have engineered on the planet to capture humanity. That's my best explanation with no study or research or proof or whatever. That's my
Okay.
theory. That's my theory. That's the only way I can present why this is going the way
Then
that.
we have to take down based on what you said, we have to take down the government. It has to be,
Sure.
it's done.
Oh, the
You
government.
can't save it. It's not even savable.
No,
And
I
I mean,
believe this
Trump is
government
great,
goes
but
away.
hmm, sorry,
I believe in this world, the idea of government goes away. Like
that would be nice.
governance is what the world needs, not government, governance. And
Right.
that can come
Yeah, that
from
would be awesome.
higher levels. Who knows if it's a galactic federation, that is involved or engaged, and we've ascended to that level where we're not going to be a species that keeps killing each other because we get off planet, which they won't let us. We'll just be killing other beings. Like we got to be a world that says, it reminds me of the movie Planet of the Apes. It came out when I was a kid, the real Planet of the Apes. And one of the
Yeah.
apes killed another. And if you remember this scene in the movie, an ape killed another ape, and they finally show there's this scene where the ape that had murdered another ape, something that has never even been heard of before in the evolution of the ape tribe's history, they have him cornered in a tree and they're all circled around him. Me and my cousins used to do this up on the farm. We'd be like, ape has killed ape. We'd put one of our friends up there. We'd play out, ape has killed ape. It was so foreign to the apes that one murdered another. What? And they're going to handle it, and they got to eliminate and destroy this thing. That's what our planet has to become. The insanity that we have, every movie of people being killed, murdered every day, program, kill humans, burn humans, slaughter humans, kill. That's a
Right.
fucked up planet. And we
Yes, it
watch it for
is.
entertainment. We watch it for entertainment.
I know.
So
Right.
the planet
And it's
change is
getting
not.
worse. That's the problem. I mean, you know what? Just like the apes, they handled the issue. So do we. Because when there's a consequence for a behavior, just like it used to be, then people stop doing it. If you're going to kill somebody, then you get, it's kind of your life gets taken. Or, if you do this, then you're punished. And if we don't have any laws that people get a consequence, they're never going to stop what they're doing. And Jack Pozo, he is very good about, we're done because we have to stop this. They're not going to stop on their own. Like we have to stop them. That's where we're at right now. There's
Well,
no way they're just going to stop because we say to.
I believe that, but I also believe this from a spiritual side. We could just have a battle of killing each other and see who wins, battle of attrition. My belief is that, and it's been proven, where I don't know what, maybe it was a yoga master or whatever, but there's this group that every year, and they've done this, they've done an experiment where they all get together at the exact same time on the planet. It's different time zones but you have 1 million people meditating, and that day they proved that violent crime on the planet drops 70%. What is that telling you?
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Tapping in to, I call it the Christ consciousness. We are tapping in to that. And because of that, we are bringing the consciousness up. It's like a tie rod in water, and you take a hammer and you hit it, and you can feel the vibration. All the fish can feel it in the tank, right? And that's the quantum realm we're in. That vibration penetrates the whole planet, and it demolecularizes the dark power. The people that was going to kill somebody that day, they're just like, no, I just feel kind of peaceful. I think I'm going to stay home today, smoke some pot and eat cheesies and watch movies instead of going out and shooting somebody, right? So, metaphorically. So that's
Yeah.
that's how the defeat, in my opinion, comes. The light is what overcomes the darkness. The light.
Yes.
We don't need
Yeah.
hit for tat, kill for kill. We got to get this Christ vibration so high that it cannot that it basically, the dark powers and the humans that are part of it, because they've been captured, they all of a sudden start receding and retreating. They don't even know why. They just, whether it's fear or whatever's dissipating, is happening, and there's nothing they can do about it. They don't understand it, and it's just they kind of go into this retreat, like the Wicked Witch of the East or the West on Wizard of Oz. Gets hit with water and just starts demolecularizing. That's the best way I can explain it.
Well, it's
You've
definitely
been
the
interviewing
greatest
you've been
way to
interviewing me for
handle
the last
things.
half hour. I'm supposed to be interviewing you. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying that, it's a great view, but the unfortunate problem is that we have so many on the evil side who don't want to hear anything, and I don't know. I guess we'll put this, if you can pull this off, Scott, and get us to all be there and we can do this, that would be awesome. But we do have a problem with some really evil people until something, I don't know, something's got to stop them. And I don't know what that's going to be. I like what you're saying, but I think we're a little bit off from that point.
Well, look, what you see today in this world, the gravity of the dark powers, it's always been that way. It's never been different.
I
It's
believe
just
it.
now people are learning about it, right? They've gotten away with it
Yeah.
forever and ever and ever and ever. Look what the
Yes, they
Khazarians
have.
did. Look what when the Russian
Yeah.
king ran them out of Khazaria. So it's it's always been this way. And the reality is, what is different today than all the past? The different today is for the first time ever, their veil has been shattered. They're now out in the open.
Yeah.
We can now see
It's
them.
true. Yep.
That is when I said they're fucked because we've destroyed their veil. We now know
They are.
them, and we now know, okay, now we see you. And what comes next? Well, that's what we're going to see. But ultimately, the good's going to win. We're going to win. People have asked
We
me,
are going to win.
what's that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to win this. No, this one we win. They're losing badly
We
everywhere.
win.
Because, like I said, do you think I'd be alive right now with all the shit that I say? Do you think you would be alive right
Right.
now? The only reason you're breathing right now is because we're winning bigly. I'm so sick of winning,
Well,
Trump says.
Scott, you know what? I have a, yeah, I don't think anybody gets sick of that. I have like very small channels and stuff, but I am probably more shadow banned than most people. And I really have to wonder, okay, I have this little small channel and yet you shadow ban every damn thing I say. And then, okay, so I am somebody that's obsessed with putting comments on all these other channels on X, and I will say and hit them hard with the MK Ultra. This is that's a CIA, and they shadow ban, so people don't see. And when somebody has 200,000 people and nobody sees my stuff, I mean, it's ridiculous. So that is why I must be the scariest person in the world that they have to do that for. And they've
Well,
been doing it for years anyway, since I've been in public.
well, we beat him today because you're now on Patriot Street Fighter.
Okay.
They've taken down 39 of my channels on YouTube now, right? I've been
Oh my
taking down,
gosh.
I've been 39 YouTube channels, 4 PayPal accounts, Stripe account, Square account, 1 or 2 merchant accounts, X, LinkedIn, X came back, LinkedIn. My long-term Facebook channel just went down 3 months ago, 4 months ago, that I've had since 2005 or whatever. Um, what else has been taken?
That's really, really horrible.
Well, again, all it does is look, that backfired for them on me. Patriot Street Fighter, when the very first live stream I ever did was in 2020 after they stole the election, it went completely nuclear. And then
I think I started watching you in 21. Is that were you doing it in 21?
yeah,
It seemed like that's
2020 was the flagship show that went nuclear, and then
okay.
it kicked it. Then it went vertical again 2 months later in January 2021 when Lynn Wood put it up on his Parler channel and just capital letters "Truth Must Watch." It went nuclear all over again. It got like 4 million views in 24 hours. So the point is that
Wow.
they kept taking my channel. I'd have 150,000 subscribers like literally overnight. I was never on YouTube before. I had a channel I put my radio shows up on. So they just kept taking my channels down. I'm like, everybody gets taken off YouTube, then they run away. Like, oh, I'm gonna go over to Rumble. I'm like, fuck that. I'm starting a new channel. Patriot Street Fighter 2, 3. So then I'm like, okay, they keep taking them down. Okay, folks, here's Patriot Street Fighter 6. Go ahead and subscribe. We'd have 100,000 subscribers in 15 minutes. Here's Patriot Street Fighter 11.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
Patriot Street Fighter
great.
7, and here's Patriot Street Fighter 8. Make sure here's a link, subscribe to 7, because you know they're going to nuke me here. Subscribe to number 7. I'd have 40,000 subscribers with not one single video. My goal is to get
Oh my
100,000
gosh.
subscribers.
That's so
I had
good.
to piss these people off. So I'd have Patriot Street Fighter 8 too. So they'd nuke this. People would get on for the live stream. Where's the channel? Oh, they took them down again. Here's the link to 6. Boom, they get on. There we go. And I kept leapfrogging these idiots. Every time I get a new channel, hey, Susan Wojcicki, told you I'd be back. Here I am again. And I'd say, you're going to be
I know. Oh my
you're
gosh.
going to be gone before me. You'll be gone from YouTube. I'll still be here. And what happened? She's gone and dead. So I kept doing this to my 39th channel. And then finally, on my 39th channel, I always say they got floor 7 over at YouTube. It's the whole floor. There's one door. It says Patriot Street Fighter at top. They got a whole legion in there of milquetoast pussies trying to keep me from getting into my YouTube channel. It took them 39 times. They finally were successful. I can't get into Patriot Street Fighter 39. Now, what did that do? What it did is I used their bullshit against them, and it made Patriot Street Fighter legendary. Like, this guy just keeps coming. Like, I'm like, look, they're going to take the battlefield. I'm changing firing positions. I'm going over here and shooting from this side. And and it was inspiring people to say, yeah, we got to fight these MFers. I'm like, yeah, they're milquetoast pussies.
Yeah.
I was having fun with it, created a whole new language that we all used, making t-shirts, laughing, seeing people in public. Hey, hold the fork in line. I have that t-shirt. We made it fun. We just went up against these people this way. And the reality is, my objective was teach people how to fight. All you got to do is stand your ground and fight. Say, F you.
That's
I'm
right.
not doing this bullshit anymore. I don't care who you are. This guy tells me
Right.
what I get to do on this planet. And he said, do whatever you want, good or bad. You're here to learn. I'll help guide you when you're
Right.
screwing up. I don't need that person, and I don't need the Constitution telling me I can be free. Right? I don't need any of that. And that's my
Right.
mindset. So when you have that,
That's the way, yeah,
that's what you're doing.
that's
It's
the way
like,
you
I
gotta
don't
have
care
it.
what you guys did to me. Go fork yourself. I'm telling the whole world. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to me that you haven't already done to me in my life, in
Exactly.
your
That's what
underground
I was going to
tunnels?
say.
Yeah. What could
They've
possibly?
already done everything and then they've taken everything. I mean, because they love to go after and destroy you in every way they can, like
Yeah.
credibility, money. I mean, they've done everything. So I don't give a shit. I really don't. There's nothing they can take now. So, and they really seriously have taken everything. So,
Well, not
um,
quite. They've taken away your
well,
worldly
yeah,
matrix program stuff that's important. But
true.
that's all bullshit. You have the highest vibration now you ever had in your whole life. You don't have that, and you don't have that, or you don't come out and do what you're doing without that vibration. There's nothing more important than having that inner peace to know you're living and executing your godly purpose here. Besides that, outside of
Yes.
that, all the bullshit that people are trying to make themselves happy, high paying jobs, private jets, massive houses, the dinners, hanging around with the in crowd. Look at those graveyards, how full they are of those same people because they keep trying to find the next high, the next high, the next high, the next high. Why can a yogi in a Tibetan mosque sit there and be the happiest, most peaceful on earth? And the only thing he's ever done for 40 years is sweep sidewalks and watch grass grow. But the person is the most enlightened, happiest person ever because it's the whole the realm that why we're here. Um, Anyways, I'm just great interview, by the way. Thanks for interviewing me today in my show.
Well, thanks for
It's been awesome.
anytime, anytime.
It's been awesome. That's why you have the power you do. You have no fear. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here.
Oh,
They,
I have no fear about them. No, because you
yeah,
know what, Scott, if they kill me, I don't care because I think they probably will at some point, to be honest with you. But I don't care because I am sent here to do this work. And God puts things in my mouth to say. He has guided every single thing I've ever written and helping people that nobody wants to
mhm,
help. And that is the truth. Because a lot of professionals, they don't want to help survivors.
yeah. See, there you
So
go. See, there you go. And so, you are protected by the Legion of Angels. And you know what? Everybody who decides to move without fear against this dark power, they don't understand. They're now protected by a Legion of Angels that have your back. So I don't worry. Look, what can
honestly
they do?
feel like
Take,
Steve is helping a lot. Hmm?
pardon me?
I think Steve, after Steve died, I got a lot of protection from him. Like I could tell when he was around. I don't know why he's slipping up lately because a few are getting around. So I'll have to have a talk with him about that. But anyway, um,
He's not.
I
He's
guess that's
allowing
from
you to
my
develop
learning.
your higher capacities in the spiritual battlefield. That's all.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's not gonna
it's
be
true.
he's not gonna be manning the weapons himself the whole time. He's gonna have you pick yours up now.
I know. Dang it. But yes, I mean, I already know how to, the Lord shows me how to fight with them because I've literally been in spiritual battles that He has prepared me. Like they're coming tonight and they're going to be doing this. You've got to do this. And He doesn't tell me the whole week. He'll just tell me the night before.
Mhm.
And it's a literal spiritual battle. I mean, it is a battle when they come against me like that, when they were coming against us. So,
I can't imagine what that's like. I mean, that I don't know if I've had any of that in my time, but past lives, yes. But I don't know. I can't imagine. I mean, I can create some serious maybe fear, doubt, but um, yeah. If a death, ours, mine, yours, whoever, um uh their plan, um, that just tells you how badly they're losing. They can't compete with
That
you
is so
on
true.
the spiritual battlefield. They have to pull the pin on the grenade. Why? Because they're weak up against the human rising in the angelic form. They're weak. They're
Yeah.
milquetoast pussies. They have got to pull the pin and just get you off
Yeah.
the battlefield. But again, that backfires because it's the spirit that's eternal. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't exit stage left. It's still there. The vibration is still there. And now the vibration's likely pissed off, like, oh, you can't put the grenade back together. I know you're trying to, but sorry, too late. That's how I see it. So that's
Yeah, me too.
that's what the future holds for them. And yeah, take the life. You just let's say you take Charlie's life. What did you do? Well, how'd that work out? 62,500 requests for chapters. A whole legion is now activated
Right.
by the light forces. The kids in schools
Yeah.
across the country are entering the battlefield, you dumbasses. Do you not understand how the Christ realm works? You fucked up,
Right.
bad. So guess
Right.
what?
They
We
did.
we
And they
we
always do.
yeah, of
They
course.
eventually, I mean, that's the same thing with COVID. They woke everybody up or started to. So every big thing they do, they just wake up more and more people and they never expect it.
Yeah. But
And,
when
and
when the activation of the planet hits, they're going to need all those clones and all those MK New World Order soldiers. You're going to need them just to get through lunch. That's it. Because the army of light angels, the light beings that are rising on a planet, I can prove it. I've said this before. Find anywhere in recorded history, I don't care if you go back 100,000 years, find anywhere in recorded history where you have a population on a planet, a segment of it. There's 8 billion people roughly on a planet. You probably have about 5 billion people in probably 175 to 180 countries on Earth simultaneously, day in, day out, mentioning one term, the Great Awakening. All over the planet, billions are
right,
saying the word, the Great Awakening. What the hell do you think is happening here, people? It
that's
is
right. That's right.
on. It is
They
on.
they cannot win.
They
No, they
cannot
can't.
win. Their time, and that's why they're throwing everything that they've got just to breathe
Yeah,
another day. They knew this day was coming. They thought they could derail it. But once again, there's a difference between being intelligent and smart. They're two very, very different things. Unfortunately, you know, you're not going to be, you're not going to supersede your creator. What you get when
that's
you
right.
try is an ass beating. You remember, you grew up, you got the belt, right? You cannot overcome that authority, right? And so, anyways, I think this greatest time this is the greatest time in my life to watch this thing unfold.
It
This
is. It's
5 years,
absolutely amazing.
a blast watching this thing.
Yeah. And you know what? It's so freeing. And I think that's why so many people that are under MK Ultra are waking up because society is making it safer because they know now. And I think a lot of people are. Just want to tell you this really quick is so statistic wise, how it's pretty close to being accurate. So if you take 7 to 10% of the world is under MK Ultra programming, not TV programming, that kind of thing, MK Ultra programming. Half of those people don't even know that they are. So those half can still be used by the government because they don't know. And that's the purpose of getting this letting people wake up and get help. And like you said, if you know what the enemy's doing, then they can't get away with it anymore. So if we know how they mind control program, if we know what their template is, if we know what their beliefs are, we can totally take them down. And do you know who's the best people to take down the cabal? The MK Ultra survivors. We know every secret they've ever had.
Right. And now you're all coming
So
out.
we need to help them.
Yeah, you're telling the world. You're all telling the world. What's exciting to me is this, and I'm going to say this not to you. You already know, but I'm saying it to you watching this program. You're not watching this by accident, especially if you're still here because of having to endure me pontificating this long. And if you're still watching, there's a reason, and the reason is that you people have no idea what your future looks like coming up. When exactly? I don't know. You don't know. You people are going to have an activation period hit you in some capacity. And when it begins, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to question it. You're just going to do things. And those things are going to lead to what would be considered an offensive against these dark powers in whatever way you're doing it. There's a planet full of heroes on this battlefield right now. They have no idea that you're one of them. You're just thinking, you must be talking to all those other people. It isn't me. No, I'm talking to you. That's why you're sitting here right now. You are on activation alert. You think, well, because I've never really succeeded in life, I haven't made a bunch of money, nobody really cares who I am. I don't have any talents, or my mom made me feel like I was a loser my whole life, or I'm poor, I have no money and no girl. I don't care what it is. That's what you have to understand. That's matrix bullshit that they used to disempower you. You're watching things like this because you're on activation alert. You're about ready to be used, and your life's going to turn into one of these like mine. I knew my whole life I wasn't fulfilling my purpose doing what I was doing, but I was following a matrix, be successful in business. It killed me all the time until I finally had enough and said, fuck this bullshit. If these bastards in DC and these politicians aren't going to say it, then I'm going to say it myself. Picked up the phone, called John Bolenbaugh. Do they need any guest hosts, or do they need any radio show hosts? Yeah, they're always looking for good talent, and they loved you when you come on my show twice. Great. Can you get me an interview? Yeah. So I'm on a Skype interview with people in London and other places. Here's what I give them, the breadth of what I want to talk about. Sure. Boom. Here goes the Tipping Point radio show. Okay, great. I'm doing my little war myself. I feel good about it. I mean, I'm nervous, and you think you're gonna get your head shot off, or you're gonna make a fool of yourself. And then I kept doing it. And then one day they steal the election. I told the audience on the radio, look, a couple of things are gonna happen. They're gonna steal Biden's gonna be getting crushed. Trump's gonna be in a landslide. They're gonna say Biden won. The whole media is gonna do it. The second thing is going to happen. Fox News is going to turn on Trump before it's all over. And they stabbed him in the back on election day, called Arizona to start the whole thing in motion. So I said, these things are going to happen. Joe Biden will never say. Anyways, these things happened. And then they steal the election. A buddy of mine says, you should zoom into our house and talk to our friends on the Zoom on our TV coming over and explain what's happening with this election theft. This is all a military op. Okay, I did it for 30 minutes, put it up on my little YouTube channel. Boom. It got 16,000 views. He said, let's do it again. I said, actually, I'm gonna use my YouTube channel. I'm gonna figure out how live streaming works, and I'm gonna live stream. And so on a Thursday, November 12th, 2020, I sat in front of this camera right here, and I just started talking to it for 52 minutes. Boom, went nuclear. Right. So did I know that was I had no idea. I knew this day was coming. I always knew that my battle, I've been staging my whole life for it, but I thought I was gonna be U.S. Senator. I had no idea I would be dropping F-bombs on a freaking camera in front of the world and watching people say, what the hell happened to my brother or my friend? Who the hell took over this guy's body? Like, holy shit. And I'm like, you're fucking right. I'm sick of it, and I am not sitting back one more. You think this is ruthless? Wait till I get pissed off. And anyways, and I've had a lot of fun with it. And you know what? We've done serious damage to these ice holes. Did I know, Scott McKay, this was going to be my world? Touring the country in a Prevost bus in a 85-foot rig and raining a shitstorm down all over the country, getting people fired up to get involved in tactical civics, Operation Tomahawk, saying F these piece of shit congressmen, scumbag politicians in DC and in the state house. Did I ever imagine me being this? Hell no. But I'm having the most fun of my whole life, and I know what I'm doing counts every day when I get up. Every day when I get up, I know it's going to be a beautiful day because there's another ass to kick. How could I have been blessed more than this, right? And I'm saying this to you people because you're still listening to my BS right now. It's because you are on activation alert. That's what you're going to do. So many of these people are going to be superstars on this battlefield, and you don't even know it yet. But I do. God told me to tell you, dinglings, this. That's why I'm here today. Start believing why your brain is focused in this vibration, because you're next. Look what she's doing. Do you know the balls it has to take? This girl been tortured like this, come out in the world, say, fuck them. I'm going to tell everybody who they are. And here you are. There's nothing more liberating.
Well,
You have no fear.
and you know what I always say to people is to take action, because you don't know what one little step is going to lead you to the next step and to the next step. And just don't be afraid to at least take one little step, because you will be led somewhere if you will take action. It's all based on us taking action.
Yeah, and honestly, it's going to be so cool. I say all the time, I just can't wait to watch these superstar warriors emerge who've been watching our channels, and they don't know it's coming yet, but something's going to do it. They're one day they're going to say something. I'm going to do this, and then they go do it, and boom, like things just start to emerge. And I'm like, I told you, not one of us humans on the planet do not have the same power as Christ does. He said, these works you will do, and even greater than I. I always ask on church stages, was Christ a bullshitter? No. He's telling you. He's not asking you to do it. He's saying, these works you shall do. And if he said that, you damn well better do it, because he ain't going to come back and say, oh, you've done nothing. Sure, let's take you to kids to heaven, turn you loose and see what happens up there. I don't think so. Christianity is a full contact sport. You got to get
Well, I'd also like to warn people, when Jesus asks you to do something, and he warns you it's going to be really hard, you're probably going to want to think about saying yes, because it's going to be 100% harder than he was really saying. And that's happened to us twice. So
That's true, and you know what?
he,
That's in their present state of mind. But once the angelic light's triggered, it's not even a fair fight. It's not a fair fight. It's just not. I mean, it's not a fair fight. Do you know how many people we've pissed off from this podcast in the last 5 years that want me dead? I know
I would
The
believe.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police right now hate my guts because yesterday I said we need to take the RM, it's RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I changed it on my channel yesterday. It's RC instead of MP. It's MTP, Royal Canadian Milk Toast Pussies. You guys are up there harassing two ladies and trying to kill their birds. That's what you are, right? Do I want all people to hate my guts? Hell yes, I want them to hate my guts because I'm smoking them out. They're cowards with a badge and a gun, picking on little ladies and taunting them and want to kill 400 ostriches. You're a Royal Canadian milk toast pussy. Because if you had to go up against a power equal and in force as you would never say those words because you're a chicken shit coward. You're saying it because you have supreme tyrannical authority right now. But it ain't going to last, and people are going to remember this time around, because when it comes time around, and they're going to remember your name. And when you don't have that power and authority because it's going away, you're in deep shit because the people are not going to forget. So, anyways, that being said, um, it's a lot of fun forking with these
Yeah,
MPs.
you just think, you get up in the morning and you just think, whose ass am I kicking today,
Whose
right?
ass am I
So
kicking?
that's the new thought to go forward.
It's what we do every day. Whose ass is getting kicked today? I got the Christ consciousness in my holster, and it got a lot of bullets. Anyways,
That's
it's
cute.
been a lot of fun with you, man. You unleashed something in me today. You just, whatever it was about you, I'm like, I want a shadow box over here. Well, God
Well,
bless.
thanks for having me on your show, and I didn't mind doing the interview with you as well. So
Well, it's fun because, that's the thing. People have to remember, look, you got to make this fun. You got to make it enjoyable. And when you
yes,
engage the fight, you got a whole new legion of friends that are going to be coming your way. People that actually are truly
exactly.
friends of yours. That's the greatest thing. Uniting
Yeah.
patriots. So, Laura,
Warriors all over the world.
yeah, warriors everywhere. And you need to figure out you're one of them if you're watching this thing. By the way, Laura, the books, where can people go to buy your books? Where can they follow you?
LauraJWorley.com is kind of, you can find out what I'm doing, but Amazon has all three books, and Everything is Laura Worley or Laura J. Worley on social media. So,
Okay.
and on X, I make a lot of really, let's just say, a lot of offensive comments about our lovely cabal every day on many channels. So, anyway,
Find you there. So probably head to the website. That'll get them to your social media, I would think, and to the books, right?
it'll
Laura
get to
J.
everything and my training that I do and
Okay.
laurajworley.com.
Okay. So folks, you can see that down in the description box right now. If you want to go find where you can connect with her, any of you folks out there that have gone through what she's gone through and you want to connect and join this battlefield and exact some revenge. I shouldn't be using that word revenge, but um, uh, I would say definitely consider checking out her therapy and going through some of the process because as you can see with her how much fun we can have. You can put a smile back in your face, release your soul from those dark energies. I'd recommend it. So thank you so much, Laura, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, another rock star warrior on the battlefield against the dark powers. This is Laura J. Worley. See what I mean? He knows what I'm having up his show every time. It's the funniest thing. Phone calls and shows. He knows he's done. He's done. Video, he never lets me get done. He waits till I'm almost done. He says, I want my airtime too. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, for Laura, myself, and Tomahawk, Patriot Street Fighter out. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Tactical Civics bringing the Constitutional County Grand Juries back to the country.